Hey everybody, it's your friendly neighborhood witch Nadia. I just dropped a candy corn. And it is a week before Halloween. Woo! And I just wanted to have a live chat with you guys, meet you guys personally. And this is cockeyed. I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to probably be adjusting the camera through the whole thing. You love me anyway, I'm sure. By the way, candy corn goes great with tea. Mm, so good. So, so good. It's like 50 degrees outside. It feels like 40. Freaking cold. And hot tea is just the best. Absolutely the best. So we're going to wait here about 2 minutes while everyone gets a chance to get settled in. I know we already have one person in the room. Thank you. If you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment always during the entire thing, because that's we're supposed to have a conversation. Can't do it by myself. And subscribe if you kind of enjoyed this at the end. But definitely hit the likes. And we're going to wait about another 40 seconds or so. But yeah, say some highs. I do definitely see when you type. Oh, I put it in for too long. Scalding my tongue. That's what we're doing today. Gonna watch me scald my tongue. And I've got my Halloween candy. Ooh, I love this. This is actually Hershey's Kisses. I could not find the dark chocolate, and I love dark chocolate. I just came back from, personal note, the doctor's, and I'm fantastic and I'm fine. For all you guys who are vaxxers, this information is for you. They have approved the HPV vaccine for 25 to 41-year-olds. Woo! So if you don't have HPV or you have one of the 9 strains, go get it done. If you have all 9 strains, I'm sorry. I know life kind of sucks for you right now. But for everybody else, go get the vaccine. Your insurance should cover it. Mine did. And mine's like super basic. And so there's some good news on that front. Okay, so it's been about 2.5 minutes. We're going to get started. Please let me know where you're from first. Like, just say like either the country if you're not comfortable with the state, so on and so forth. I am currently in Kenmore, Washington, but that doesn't mean that's where I'm from. I've only been in Kenmore about a year. Before that, I was in Arizona, and I spent 10 years in the magical community down there. But I discovered magic in Maryland, really close to our nation's capital, actually, Silver Spring, Maryland. Because at the time I was going to Suitland High School. If you've ever been to Suitland and you have Suitland pride, yay for you. At the time, they had the Visual and Performing Arts program. And, you know, us artsy fartsy types are always going to be the crazy, weird ones. Happy, creative weirdos that we are. And we put our feels out on canvas or into an emotional piece. And so, art. But true to that, we also like to read a lot. You'll find the artsy ones are the geeky ones, and we really like to read, and we really like to have that fantasy, that juice always flowing in our brains. So, because of that, and because we're also the ones that are bullied the most, I found 2 places growing up that I could hide from the bullies. It was the nurse's office and the library. And so, on one of these running from the bully occasions, and this is when Yahoo had just started out. If anyone is old enough to remember Yahoo, yes, that's how old I am. So it was really a time for new things. That's not how I planned it, though. I was just hiding from bullies. So I went to the reserve section, which just happened to be right behind the librarian. The librarian had her own office where the computers were, and you know, so I was just bored of trying to figure out email, and I went to go and ask her if she had any books that had came in. And while she was looking to see if she'd gotten any new books in, because I'd read most of the books in the library at that point, I looked behind her, and behind her in the super reserved section, like it had a cape and everything, it was super reserved, you know, was a book called Raymond Buckland's Guide to Witchcraft. And if you've ever seen this book, you know what it looks like. But for those who don't, it is a ginormous sized book. I would say 8 to 11 inches long if you were to lay it flat on the table, and about 8 inches wide. Excuse me. And it's blue with white writing. Raymond Buckland is a very famous, what's the word? Romany. That's the word he would use. Others would call them gypsies. Magical practitioner. I'm not sure if he would call himself a witch, per se. So there's that. Let me just, chocolate. So much better. So anyway, I didn't know all this when I saw this book. I saw a book with a pentacle on it. Not like I'm a teenager. Come on. So I asked for it now this is in the Southern Belt, okay? Maryland does still count, y'all. So without blinking, without anything, she just reaches behind her. She grabs the book. She gives it to me with a stern look, not because of what the book was, but because it's reserved. Return it. Like, looking back on that whole situation was like, wouldn't you? Okay. And I just walked away with the book. And as I went through it, and it was in a format that my curious mind, because I grew up watching National Geographic, where they didn't censor out the animals having the sex and doing sexy time in that time, when they didn't censor out an animal making a kill, so on and so forth. So that's what I grew up with. Bill Nye the Science Guy, Beakman's World, I think it was Mr. Tan Science, somebody, that was way far back. I was a wee little. But anyways, so I said all that to say that, I was a curious mind. That was the way I was born. And the way this book was written as an instruction, like a student manual. And I ate it up. I loved it. And that was my first run into magic. That's how I found it, or it found me. Because when you think about the circumstances, that book should not have been in the library, but it was. Nowadays, it's like, that book needs to be in the library. But back in the day, about 20 years ago, 22 years ago, the mindset was, that religious stuff should not be in school, but it was. So after that, I just got hungry and I started finding other authors. And one of the authors that I found was Silver Raven Wolf. And she has several books. She's got one book, To Fly a Broomstick. And that was another instructional manual that I just devoured. And she's had a couple of other re-releases to more modernize it since then of that exact same book. And so that's what you'll hear me just constantly ramble off throughout this whole thing, is I'm going to tell you about books I know. Because to me, was my solace. That was my dedication. Time that I could dedicate for just to be anywhere but where I was at the time as a teenager. So yeah, that was me. If you guys have any questions at this point before I continue going on about Magickal Me and all that stuff, go ahead and put them in. I'll give you guys like a couple of seconds because I need to drink some tea. And today I brought along my candy corn because I love candy corn. My favorites are actually the pumpkins because they're big. And nobody likes the pumpkins for some reason, which I think is stupid because it's like 3 times the candy corn per candy. Okay. So anyway. Oh, happy Samhain, Halloween, Diwali. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Yeah. Happy that. Oh, and New Year. Oh, not New Year's. That's the witch's New Year. Samhain, Diwali, and fall equinox, although I'm like an entire month late. So okay, so the next thing, since nobody has any questions, The next thing I'm going to talk about is, okay, you got your educational supplies. How do you go and get your physical, supplies? How do you actually start practicing? Well, how I started practicing, since it is about me, is I just grabbed whatever I could without really understanding the magical mechanics, or I just literally jumped right in. So one of the first spells that I remember distinctly, because it had a huge impact on my life, that I did when I was a little girl, well, and a teenager, is I had a crush on this boy. We'll call him Antoine, although that wasn't his name, and I would never ever date a boy named Antoine. It's just, that name just, yeah. But anyways, we'll call him Antoine. And he was on the football team, and so sexy, and da-da-da-da. And I was so not confident in myself, not confident in who I am as a person, because teenager, that I decided I wanted to put and get a love spell that I found on the internet. So if you can't tell from my tone, that's not a good idea, especially when you don't understand the this and the why and the who's and the background and the history of what you're doing, and the materials you're using. And the rules. There are rules to magic, which we'll get into in just a second. So I went ahead and decided that I wanted to do a love spell, and it turned out awful. I wish I could. That's the one thing where I wish magic could control time or science or something, just so I can go back in time and go, hey, don't do the thing, because the thing is the thing. Yeah, no, don't do that. Because after a while, I got what I wanted, but I also got way more than I bartered for in many ways that are still impacting my life to this day. So please think before you do. Don't just, there's Prometheus and his brother, I want to say Amethyst. I'm sure that's wrong. But Prometheus had forethought, and his brother was literally named afterthought in Greek. And he just went, did all the things without even thinking. Well, yeah, that's what you do when you don't have a guide, you don't have education, you don't have none of that. And back in those days, you just don't. You had movies like Practical Magic and The Craft, two very contrasting themes there. And your very atypical, your very atypical evil witch stuff still going, and you still had Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. You had all this mass media, and you didn't really have anyone to like say, do this, don't do this. Here's why you do this, and here's why you don't do that. So let's go into the rules on that topic, okay? Rule 1, don't do anything you would not want done to you, because it's not just magic, but that's just blah, blah. Since magic is life and life is magic and everything is connected, why would you want to send out vibes that you do not want received? And worse off, if you know science, okay, and you know about astrophysics, even a little bit, you know that we have to rotate the earth to even get a bit of a speed on that rocket to get far enough, especially when we're low on fuel, to get to the moon, and we have to do double that to get to Mars. So there's something called the super interspace highway. And so follow me, just stay with me here. You have to go around something enough times to get the speed to eventually hit back to the point of origination. I can't speak English today. So in order to do that, if that's how science and basic astrophysics and space travel works, okay, then magic works on the same natural principles as well. So why would you do something that would hurt you, basically? To hurt your brother or sister or a neutral gendered person of any kind would also in turn hurt you. So why would you do that? That's stupid. You're asking for like all the trouble. So why don't you just do good things? And that's where you get into some religious aspects. And that's most of the principles of Wicca is, that's why they only do good stuff, because they know that you put out bad, you're going to get bad. and you might get it twice as fast in the face, or you might get it twice as hard in the heart, or somewhere on your person is going to be negatively affected. So I said all that to say, in this little 4-minute rant of mine, that's the first rule of magic, is at the very least, be okay with what you're about to do, and be okay with any consequences that you may get from it, because magic is not a controlled science. Science even isn't a controlled science at times, but it's more controlled than magic. So just keep that in mind as well. Another second rule of magic is know your shit. I can't be more clear about this, okay? Know your shit. As the person who did the bad thing, know your shit. I have meant to do good, and I ended up doing. I know the rule that you're supposed to ask people for their permission before you dispel for them, on them, to them, around them, but you still have to go back to be okay with what you're doing first. If you knew how many people I had coming to me asking me to do spells, okay, they would come to me, ask me to do the spell, and I would say no. Then they would cry and whine. They don't know anybody else is going to do it, and I would say, listen, come here, escúchame, okay, poquita. You don't understand that whatever I do for you not only comes back on you, but comes back on me too. So a spell you do for someone else, even if it's them not doing it, but it's for them, that's both of your energies tied to what you're doing, and you both better be okay with the repercussions, good, bad, or indifferent. And those are the main ones that I focus on the most when it comes to the rules of magic. So let's recap. It's be okay with your results, whatever they may be. Make sure that you know your shit. Make sure that you're asking permission. And at least if you have those 3 basics, there's a lot more rules. But if you at least have those 3 basics, then you're on a right path. You're on a good path. You're not necessarily straight, but more of the crooked, jagged, usually paved path. So the next thing, I'm going to open this up here in about less than 3 minutes to more questions. But I want to say the next thing I want to let you guys know about what I learned on my magical path is that there are so many paths, so much magic, so much magic. There are different cultures, different religions, different aspects, different lands give you different kinds of magic. That sounds like an RPG, I know, but it's true. It really is true. If you're in a desert, it's hot. Magic works very fast there. If you're where I am now and you've got trees and you've got water, things move feckin' slow. It takes forever to get one magically thing done up here. And I'm getting used to it because I'm used to having that fast, fiery, Sonora desert magic ready at my will. And then I have to work with slow Sam the snail magic up a her, which drives me bonkers. So it's only been up here a year. So hopefully in 2 years total, I'll have the feels down for that. Another thing about magic is that there's all kinds, as I said before. Divination is magic. People say, oh, I just read cards. Honey, you're doing magic. Prayer is magic. If you want to affect an ends and you're praying so that ends can be met, that is magic. Period. Doesn't matter what religion you're in, that is magic. You are sending energy out to receive it right on back. And what else is that? Explain to me. Tell me if you believe I'm wrong. There's a comment box. Go ahead and hit the live chat box and let me know. But that's general magic for you. The next thing is, what else would I say about magic? Oh, yes. You can do it by yourself or you can do it in a group. And it really depends on how you feel your comfort level at the point. And you're going to always change. That's another thing. Change is constant. Those who practice magic know that the only constant is change. And whether it be a good change, bad change, or a meh kind of change, you know, is really up to you and your circumstances and your thoughts at the time, which again will always constantly be changing. So now we're down to that time, that question and answer time. You guys go ahead and do that. I'm going to take a sip of tea. Oh, and if you haven't already, hit that like button. Hit them likes, smash the likes, poke the likes, tickle the likes. I'm going to choke now. Swallowed my tea too fast. Okay, any questions, comments, thoughts, ponderings? This video won't work if you guys don't participate. It's just be me talking to myself for a half an hour. Okay, so we don't have any questions. I'm going to give it another 20 seconds. And then we'll move on to the rest of Magickal Me and topics. Again, if you haven't heard me the first time, happy Diwali, happy Samhain, happy fall equinox, autumn. And what are your celebrations? Now that is going to be a question I'm asking. What are your celebrations? What things do you do this time of year besides Halloween, of course? Nothing. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic then, since I don't see any comments here. So the next thing is, after learning that you can't just, afterthought everything and be like, oh, well, it blew up, but it was fun. No. Those have, and I've warned you all before that those have repercussions. Then once you understand that there is a study and that you have to have some education so that you can have the forethought, Prometheus, then you can move on to experimentation a little bit and, pull this out or add this little extra thing in. And that's where you get the different kinds of magic. So you have locally in the United States, Santeria, and I don't know a lot about Santeria, or some people in English will pronounce it Santeria. Santeria, roll your R. And then there's hoodoo, which gave birth to voodoo. And people are asking, which is the good kind? Which is the bad kind? I'm going to say this extremely clear. So please pay attention. Listen. Hi, Pot of Jam. Nice to see you. Listen to me very carefully. Magic is neutral. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Are you Glenda from the Wizard of Oz? Like, why are you asking me this question? Magic is neutral. It is no more bad or good than the butter knife you picked up to spread your peanut butter. It is neutral. If you pick it up to spread your peanut butter, it's good. Of course I am. Pot of Jam wants to know if I'm a witch. Yes, I am a witch. That's why I'm hosting this. If you use the same knife to stab somebody in the eye, hand, or other body part, that is bad. Therefore, the knife is bad. So, another way to put it, and I don't know how, because I don't speak Chinese, so I'm going to say it in English, and it's going to sound awful, but hi, Happy Talk. This is CM on. Okay. What is a great gale wind to the migrating duck is a force of destruction for the ant. That is the nature of magic. That is what magic means. So what is good for one person may mean a bad thing for another. And that also goes into the theory of practicing magic. You do something good for you, okay? You have to take from somewhere in order to get the good. You do something bad for, why would you do something bad for you? But let's just say you do something bad for you, that means someone else gets good. Magic is going to constantly want to have that balance in between. Always balancing, always making sure that everything is in balance. So that goes back to the change. Is it a good change? Is it a bad change? It depends on how it affects you and how you feel about it, and so on and so forth that I've already said. So, am I a good witch? No. Am I a bad witch? No. But am I a witch? Yes. I practice magic to meet my ends. I don't do, I try not to do body parts, but there is that wishbone thing. I like using the wishbone for making wishes. It comes out of my chickens. I don't murder anybody to get a wishbone, so there's that. um, Wild stories. Who wants to hear wild stories and questions people have asked me? Well, you're getting it anyway. Here we go. First question, and they have this in the movie Practical Magic. Do you make placenta bars? And I was shopping at the time, and I was talking to someone, and I was explaining about magic, and she said, I heard witches like to use placentas of babies. And I was like, pourquoi? What? For decay? Yes, really. And she goes, yeah, that's what I heard, that y'all like to eat babies' body parts. And I was like, is she shitting me? She must be shitting me. Because, and I explained to her that, where did you hear this? She goes, oh, I've seen it, around. And I explained to her that we don't do that. In fact, if that's your definition of a witch, every naturopathic mother should be arrested for witchcraft if it was ever against the law, because there are mothers who will blend up their placenta and eat it. It is a form of cannibalism, by the way, but I certainly do not practice that. Here's another crazy question that I got. And it's the first question I get for those who consider themselves magical practitioner accepting is, will I do a spell to help them find a life partner? This is the look you're going to get. Because it's me trying to figure out a socially appropriate way to tell you to fuck off. I'm just going to tell you, I'm sitting here going, why is that the first question people ask? And it took me some time to figure it out. Because that's what they think we're all good for. We're here for their use. We're not here to do anything of our own needs and our own wants and our own desires. We're here for non-magical practitioners to use as we see fit. And I have this confirmed because I'll charge for my tarot practice, and I'll get maybe once every 6 months a customer. I'll not charge, and I have a flood at my front door of people basically beating down the door. All right, we've got a question. Happy Talk asks, how long have you been a witch? You missed the first 30 minutes, so I'll explain. 22 years, short answer. And when this is over, you can go back and play on how I got into magic. But yeah, 22 years, Happy Talk. And so the next thing they ask me is, can you break a hex? I think, oh my God, about everybody that comes to me has been in a metaphysical shop and owns 1,000 crystals and they don't know what for. They're just pretty. Will ask me, can I break a hex? Or they think their house is haunted, or that I do go. Every witch has different talents. That's one thing Harry Potter got it right. Let me tell you. Every witch has different talents, okay? My talents is not ghosts. I don't mess with them. We have an agreement. You don't mess with me. I don't mess with you. This is why I fail as a stereotype, because I don't do ghosts. I just don't. I don't accept them in my house. They're not allowed, and they know it. End of story. So am I going to go to your house looking for ghosts? Honey boo, if I don't watch scary movies, I sure as hell ain't going to your house. No. Just as much as if you have a pet spider or a pet snake, I may visit your living room if that's not where the animal is, but I certainly won't go looking for your pet spider or your pet snake. So that's another one that people ask is, can I break a hex, or can I go banish the ghosts out of their house? And the answer for me personally is no. Can I? No, because I don't practice that. And will I? No. It's a form of necromancy also, to channel one's loved one. I personally like having full control over my everything, not just physical, but metaphysical. And so, no, I will not practice necromancy either, because everybody knows you invite one thing in that you have no full understanding, like I said before in those rules, no full understanding of. It has its own personality, okay? It's not for me. It just isn't. It's not like I haven't studied, looked up, understood what necromancy is about and why people would do it, but it's literally just not for me. The next thing people will ask me is if I could make them a potion. Basically, if I can do magic for them. And for me personally, the answer is always going to be no. I'll teach you how to do it, because you teach a person to fish, they eat for the rest of their life. But if you catch a fish for them, they only eat for that day. So that's my philosophy on everything, not just magic. And so, of course, I would move that into when someone asks me for something, because it's really easy to do something like that for yourself. Sometimes if you just need to feel good or you need to feel better, then use bath salts. Everybody uses bath salts, not the bath salts, the actual bath salts. And you sit in the tub and that's how you feel good. That's your magic. That's your rejuvenation. That's how you feel good. If you need a love potion, if you need that, do the research. I found the book and I was 14 in a Southern Belt school, and I still found a magic book. You can do it too. In fact, libraries won't even bat an eye at you anymore. So we're going to move into, it's been another 10 minutes. We're going to move into question and ask time. I'm going to run get the book because I forgot to get them before I started the feed. So give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. Okay, let's see here. This one is good. Oh, yeah, this one and this one. Perfect. Ouch. Almost broke a nail. Okay, I'm coming. Hold on, y'all. Okay, as I said before, I love books. And I don't love any other books more than I love these books. So when you first start out, you're going to need a notebook. And it can look like anything. People call it their book of shadows or their study book or whatever. And yeah, sure, if it makes you feel more witchy, more magically, call it whatever you want. Call it Bengali Leviosa, whatever. As long as you feel comfortable and it makes you happy, just make sure you have a study book, because you have entered a new life. If you thought college was hard, magic is even harder. It is a lifelong study. It's not just something you do one moment and then you know everything about magic. No, honeybee. That's not how it works. It is a lifelong study. I've been studying for 22 years. I do not proclaim to know everything about magic. There is no way, I believe, no way that one human can know everything there is to know about magic at all. There is, what is this TV show that was out based on a book series? And one of the characters' name was Alice. And she turned into a being that could absorb all the knowledge. And that's its own existence, was to absorb all the knowledge. And do I know if that being exists? No. But is it a great story? Yeah, it is. So get yourself a study book and draw all the pictures you can. Find the area of magical practice you want to study. If tarot is your gateway drug, then I would recommend this book. I'm going to move forward here. The Complete Book of Tarot by Anthony Lewis. Okay, great guide. I have, as you can see, I love my book. I have it split into major arcana, minor arcana, and court cards. It gives you a good bit of the basic history of the tarot, And I really just started studying tarot, let's see, about 5 years. I'll say 5 years, no more than 5 years. But it doesn't mean that just because I've been studying for 5 years, I know everything, or it doesn't mean that just because I've been studying for 5 years, I don't know everything. In fact, I know quite a few things. So this book here has pictures, and I'll show them to you. And it goes into what the major arcana is, and you have here we go. This is perfect. This shows the picture, okay? And then it gives you all the different tarot schools of thought, which ironically one of them is called thought. And then it gives you the upright and the reverse. So that's why I love this book. There's another one called, what is it? Tarot Theory and Guide. And in the back, it has an appendix where how all the other cards interact with each other and what reading you get based on how the cards interact. So again, Complete Guide to Tarot. The publisher is Llewellyn. It's my favorite publisher. You'll know it by the crescent moon. And the author is Anthony Lewis. Next book. When you're starting out in magic in general, not just tarot, and you need some kind of reference book on what crosses with this and to kind of get an idea of what your basic end results are going to be of all your magic and all your spells, then this book, as you can see, I read it a lot. This book is great. It's called Llewellyn's Complete Book of Correspondences by somebody Kynes, Sandra Kynes, okay? And again, you've got that crescent moon symbol on the side. And it's great. And I want to make it really clear, this is not a pentagram, okay? For all you geometry geeks out there, you will be shaking your head yes at this right about now. This is a pentacle because cul means circle, like bicycle and unicycle and round, okay? So pentacle, not pentagram. Even witches get it wrong, and it drives me bonkers. So, the Complete Book of Correspondences has things like, let's see here, plants, intentions. So if you need to do something for divination and you forgot its correspondences, you can pull it up. They have a new one coming up about every 2 to 5 years, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. They want, if you want to look up what goddesses or gods or spirits, magical beings, magical animals, all of that. Just a really basic, super basic rundown of it. And then you can go and look it up later. Yes, you could just Google it, but I'm a hard copy enthusiast, and I believe in having something to hard copy just in case electricity and electronics are just not your friends anymore. Last book I'm going to show you guys. This was priceless to me, is priceless to me. I've only had one other of its copy, and I wrote all over it. Before I gave it away, I made sure that I covered it up and it still looked nice for the person that I gave it to. This one is freaking for light reading, would Hermione say. This book right here, okay? It's the Encyclopedia 5,000 Spells, okay? Again, Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells by Judica Isles. She has done an amazing, fantastic work in this across all cultures, across all religions, across all continents. All of these spells, she just put them in one spot. And this is, to me, a treasure because if you guys don't remember the burning times, let me quickly remind you, back in the day, they used to take all the witchcraft books and all the magic books and all the family knowledge that was passed down. They would take them and they would burn it. So the only book, I think at one point that was allowed was the Bible. That's it. And so because of the burning times, because they burnt all the magical books, we lost so much magic was lost when they burnt them. So that's why I love this hefty gal, because it has literally everything. If you don't see my tabs, I've got literally 2 layers of tabs here. Okay, and I ran out of color tabs. I had to make my own with tape. Ingenuity. And so this one has topics like animals, banishing spells, happy home spells, cleaning spells, love spells, of course. And she even has in the love spell section, right in the first paragraph, it says, be honest. This is the first section you went to, wasn't it? And I can concur with her, though it was not the first section I went to. I can understand why she would say that because it's a first freaking thing people ask of magical practitioners is, please make me a love spell or some dumb ish like that. No, I get it, but it was just funny that she did that. She's got a very sassy attitude. They've got in the back, they've got a formulary. So let's say that in the book for that particular spell, they mention an oil like Van oil. And you, que esto, Van oil, this is stupid. Just use Vicks Vaporub, you know? But you don't know the ingredients and there's nowhere for you to find it. So the back allows and has a formulary for you to look it up. So you can literally take this tome and crack it open. I've tabbed it and you can look it up. This one I opened up to was damnation water, and that sounds bad. Someone asked me a question. It says, how long have you been a witch? I said I've been a witch 22 years. 22 years. Okay, so damnation water says it's the antithesis of holy water. Damnation water is frequently used for malevolent purposes. Right there. If you don't know what malevolent means, it means you're going to do bad thing. But sometimes also for protective spells. So it tells you about the ingredients you'll need. Asafoetida, I can never say this one right. Asafoetida sulfur, and the ashes of palm leaves on Palm Sunday, and grind that into a powder, and add this base to whatever holy water formula you prefer. So she's not afraid to tell you that something is listed as no bueno. However, she is not against listing it, obviously. So even she knows that there's all kinds of magical practitioners out there and all kinds of way to use even malevolent, nefarious magic. Let's pull up a good one. Let's see here. Something that's for this time of year, death and spirits. That sounds fun. One that it even goes into, this is the part that I forgot about. So part of this book, okay, hashtag not sponsored, it also explains about spirits and what they are. She has a whole nother huge reference book on spirits and the different kinds of spirits. Let's see here. So for death spells, what death spells are usually used for is to be able to not cause death, but in order to adapt to a sudden loss or an impending loss, if that makes any sense. It doesn't mean that you wish someone dead, although I'm not saying it doesn't exist, because there are people out there like that. But death spells usually go to having to make it easier, to ease the pain, to put a magical salve on the pain of a loss. If you're dealing with psychopomps, that's going to be an issue too. A psychopomp is defined as a conductor of souls, and the term refers to a specific type of spirit who's entrusted with a specific type of function. So psychopomps aren't necessarily bad, depending. So you can make things like incense with chevril. You can make a cleansing spell for a funeral. You can make, what is it? Hecate, depending on where you're from, is how it's pronounced, as a goddess known to be associated with death. You also have La Santa Madre Muerte, or Muerta, excuse me. La Santa Madre Muerta. And in English, for those who don't speak Spanglish or Spanish of any kind, it's the Saint Mother of Death. Okay? La Santa, the Saint, Madre, Mother, Muerte, death. So the Saint Mother of Death. And so you learn what kind of deities work with salving pain, learning how to cope or get out of a bad situation. So Hecate, La Santa Madre Muerte, or La Santa Muerte. Some people just shorten it to Santa Muerte. And then you have a funeral protective spell. You got girdle spells. It's just a huge section, honestly. It's like 50 pages. And the book itself also goes into necromancy spells. Like I said, I don't do that, so we just close the book. So I can look up any questions, since you guys know I have the material that you have. So here we go. Oh, I got a thumbs up. Yay, thank you. If you haven't hit the likes already, please do. We got less than 15 minutes in the chat. And go. I'm going to take some tea because it's a dry mouth. Mary Meet, well met. How are you? Sunim, oh boy. I'm just going to call you Scape. Is that okay? Because I don't want to mess up your name. What practice are you from, Scape? Oh, that's something else you guys don't know. If you're not a magical practitioner, Merry Meet means exactly what it is. Happy, hi, hello, so on and so forth. But it's a special magical practitioner greeting, also as well met, depending on what part of the world you're in. And well met, you greet with your hand to your forehead, just like this. It's kind of to acknowledge the fellow knowledge seeker. So it's well met. Questions. Now's the time to ask questions. Happenings going on in the world. I know that witches have been working hard. Some witches, anyway, have been working hard to work on our current president. Some for him, ironically, and some against him. And so I've been asked, how do I feel about that? And I'm like, well, they feel that they need to get him in or keep him in or get him out, and they're doing what they feel they need to do from the means that they have to do it. So how do I feel about it? Neutral. To avoid any problems. But let's just say that if they have the vote and they use the vote and they didn't feel like that did the job, then yeah, a witch, magical practitioner, wizard would use that. Now, I don't like saying warlock because warlock is a bad guy. So wizard means oath keeper. Warlock means oath breaker. So again, wizard means oath keeper. Warlock means oath breaker. That's why warlocks are the bad guys, usually, because wizards keep the oath of protecting knowledge and protecting, sometimes, usually, magic, and passing on said magic and knowledge. Oath breakers keep it for themselves, and they want all the power, and so they're very greedy with that, and that's why warlocks are considered to be bad. Now, nowadays, warlocks don't think that they're bad. It's their point of view. It's their Satanistic point of view of life, and me first, serve myself first before I worry about somebody else. And okay, cool, but that's just historically what warlock has meant, is oath breaker and wizard oath keeper, while witch, there are 40 different words in the human language for witch, and they mean all kinds of things. You've got words like bruja, which just means witch. It could mean good or bad, depending on the culture you're in. And it could mean, there's another word called stragoi, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's up in the northern regions of the UK, where Russia, Ukraine, that area. And in one part of their history, stragoi meant vampire. And another part it meant witch. And then another part it meant Baba Yaga. So you have this really weird amalgamation of stragoi, not just meaning a magical practitioner, but it also could mean a few other things too. Okay, we're coming down on time here. I've got about 12 minutes, less than 12 minutes. Anyone else have anything that they want to talk about? Any topics? Their experience? I want you guys to share your experience too. If you are a magical practitioner, well met, Merry Meet. I would like to make sure that you get your words in too, because conversation is two-way. So I'm going to grab, what's your favorite Halloween candy too? Also, because I have talked about this already. Absolutely love candy corn. I did a video on, if you're not a pumpkin fan and you just freaking hate coloring or painting or doing anything with pumpkins, then I have a solution. I have decorated these fine, lovely clementines. Aren't they adorable and super cute? Super kawaii. And so people are like, oh, that's great. And so check out that video. It's really quick and it shows you how to do it. If you're worried about your pumpkins getting bleh before Halloween, get some hairspray. Done. Okay. Another way to do it is to rub some vinegar on it or some kind of acid like a lemon, lime, orange. If you don't want to use a chemical like hairspray, you can literally just get concentrated lime juice, put it in a bottle, put a little bit of sugar in. By the way, that's homemade hairspray. Shake it and then spray it. Done. So that's another way to save your... I learned that in art class, ironically enough, when we had to do paintings and drawings of fruit. And we didn't want them to spoil before our projects were done. So she would get some spray, some hairspray, and spray it all over it. What are you guys' plans for Halloween? What are you guys going to dress up as? I'm going to go as me, because I'm the best costume there ever was to scare anybody away. Yes, and my kid is going to be home. That's why I keep looking over here out the window in the neighborhood of soon. I wish you guys could see his face when I came home and I had like armfuls of Halloween candy, because growing up I wasn't allowed to. My mother was a Lutheran. So I had armfuls of Halloween candy, and we didn't celebrate Halloween last year. And he saw all of that and he was like, what are you doing? You're going to get diabetes. And I'm like, this is for the kids. That doesn't mean I didn't sneak a couple of pieces though. So now I have dedicated candy bowls so I can leave the Halloween candy alone and not touch when the kids come by. Because I want them to be able to get handfuls, not the just take one dumbass bullshit. I want to be the popular house on Halloween. Okay, guys, I'm going to pull the plug here in about 2.5 minutes. If you have any questions, comments, or thoughts, go ahead and put them in now. Or if you're watching this after I've recorded and you have questions, thoughts, put them down in the comment section, or other people call it the towel section, down below. And remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.